Hey there, chipmunks! Welcome to the AMP Cycling Ride Review Series. I'm your host, Angry Chipmunk, and today we're riding along the Lake Ontario coast in Canada from Kingston to Glenora. This ride is available on Rouvy, so let's get right to it. This is a decently long ride at 51 kilometers, but with only 217 meters of elevation gain. The whole ride averages 0% and will max out at a killer 4%. Buckle up, chipmunks, this one's gonna be steep. There are no climbs to speak of in this route, just sections of moderate elevation changes. Even then, they're so minor that they just become a bit darker yellow and really get kind of lost in the gradient profile. There's not even much downhill either. This is just an exceptionally flat route. There are 2 Strava segments listed on both Rouvy and Strava itself. The first segment is Bayview. It's at the 13 kilometer mark, is 1.8 kilometers long, with 19 meters of elevation gain, averaging 1.1% and maxing out at that 4%. There's really not much to this segment. You get a decent run into it, it's quite flat and short. If you want to treat this one as a sprint, the steeper sections come in the second half of the segment. There's a whole lot of nothing in the ride to the next segment. If you see positive gradient, it stays under about 3%. The second segment is Sandhurst. It's at the 34 kilometer mark, is 1.96 kilometers long, with 16 meters of elevation gain, averaging 0.8% and maxing out at 3.2%. Again, there's nothing really to this segment. The steepest sections come right at the end of it. And to the end, you'll see a few more little blips of hills with the gradients maxing out around 3.5%. With the incredibly flat nature of this route, you can get away with almost no warm-up or cooldown if you use part of the route for both. However, if you want to make a good push from the start line, I would still give 5 to 10 minutes on either side, with more on the cooldown side if you've pushed pretty hard. And as always, I recommend pre-fueling your rides and including plenty of protein with that. This route isn't tough from an elevation point of view, but it's still decently long, so you don't want to be skipping your fueling altogether. If you've pre-fueled, have another 15 to 20 grams around the 15 to 20 kilometer mark or so. If you can't pre-fuel, have about 10 to 15 grams at the start and middle of the route. And if you're pushing pretty hard, you can easily have a bar or something that you continuously eat throughout the ride. There's nothing here that makes fueling difficult, so it's easy enough to have a bite every now and then. I would definitely follow this one up with a protein and magnesium. The view on this ride is unfortunately pretty boring. It does follow along the coast of Lake Ontario for a ways, but it just isn't that interesting. There's quite a bit of roadworks along the way, which really doesn't help things to look nice. It was probably autumn when they filmed this one, so the trees look mostly pretty bare and the grass is just a mix of brown with some green. The sky is a nice bright blue and the bits of the lake that are visible are very nice, but it really is just kind of dull. I tried to push this one pretty hard and finished it in just under 1.5 hours on 100% difficulty emulation. I would say it's a budget anywhere from a bit over an hour to 2+ hours. It can be as fast or as slow as you want to push it. And overall, this was a pretty dull route with no interesting climbs, but that does lend itself to being suitable for almost all levels of rider. If you're brand new to riding, you can still do this route without any dramas, and if you're a seasoned pro, just push harder, bro. The distance is pretty significant for a newer rider, but anywhere along the route is perfectly suitable to stop and start again at a later time. And if you're needing something pretty flat to sandwich around a tougher ride, this could not get any easier. I think its greatest benefits are for those wanting to push a distance goals or those wanting to push really hard for an extended period of time. For this route, I give a 3 out of 5. There's nothing really that great about the route itself, it's just pretty middle of the road kind of stuff. For the climb, 1 of 5. Really, it only rates a 1 because the rest of the route is so flat. It's a very easy hill that any level of rider can complete without any difficulties. For the view, 3 of 5. Again, just dull. The road works, while unavoidable, make it pretty ugly, and the time of year is not that great either. I think I would have preferred this one filmed in winter when there would have been snow on the ground to reflect all of the sunlight. And overall, 3 out of 5. There's nothing really exceptional either way, middle of the road kind of stuff, good for the reasons already mentioned, but not something I'd rush out to do again. Well, that's it for this review, so thanks for watching, Chipmunks. Please let me know what you thought of Kingston to Glenora when you completed. Did you get some FTP gains on this one? I'll leave you to finish the rest of the ride, and I'll see you next week for another review. Until then, ride on, Chipmunks, ride on.